I'm Jim Driscoll, pastor of Christ Lutheran Church, 1302 East Washington Street, and it's in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. And I'm here with the NCTV 45 Thought for the Day, courtesy of Angelo Parada, the director, producer, president, sales advertising, chief bottle washer of NCTV 45, and a great guy. We are using the devotional from edited by Carla Barnhill. It's on the writings of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer was a very interesting man, a very devout Lutheran pastor, and also very devout in his worldview. He was, to his credit, he was not one of these pastors who kind of hid behind their big church doors. He was very much aware of the world, and he was in America. He went to school and at college, seminary, taught in seminary for a while. He was a church pastor, and during the late 30s, when the situation in Europe was deteriorating rapidly because of the fascists and Nazis and communists, they were all secular humanists, which all secular humanists basically are. If you're not a Christian, you're a secular humanist, and secular humanists are basically greedy, corrupt. I mean, we all are as human beings, but you get this sort of self-righteous attitude from them, and it's just so wrong because we've seen the devastation that secular humanism has caused in the world and is still causing very much. You can say what you want about Islam, it's secular humanism because it's basically trying to tear down the world for the power and to win the wealth of those who are in the Muslim church. And we see that in Islam all through Islam. And sorry, maybe slamming Islam, but it's all secular humanism. Tens of millions of people have died because of secular humanism. Starvation, Pol Pot, who ruthlessly murdered his people, Ho Chi Minh, Mao Zedong, Stalin, obviously Hitler, Mussolini, all these people, secular humanists. And those out there who aren't Christian, they need to take responsibility for their own people. Well, what about the Inquisition? Well, first off, it was 500 years ago, so you might want to get over it. Total number of people in the 70 years of the Inquisition, it's estimated about 80,000 people died as a result of the Inquisition. Is that unacceptable? Yes, it's completely unacceptable. And it was because the church was being corrupted. And frankly, church was being corrupted by people who really were secular humanists. But secular humanism since the middle of the 20th century, and this is not an exaggeration, actually, I'm sorry, since really the beginning of the 20th century, has been responsible for the death of tens of millions. And so, you secular humanists out there with the attitude, you need to get a grip. You need to realize how absolutely corrupt and destructive your form of worship, or whatever you want to call it, is. It's absolutely demonic. It's absolutely hellish. You need to stop. Well, he wrote a that is Carla Barnhill edited this into a daily devotional. I'm going to read this. It's on page 18 of her devotional. It is in just such times that we should make an effort to remember in our prayers how much we have to be thankful for. Above all, we should never allow ourselves to be consumed by the present moment, but should foster that calmness that comes from noble thoughts and measure everything by them. And you can say what you want about secular humanism, communism, whatever form it takes, Nazism. It's all nonsense, and there is nothing really in terms of noble thoughts or concepts. It's not. It's how much can we grab? How much can we steal? How much can we take? And that's just basically humanism 101 in a sort of different wrapper. So, you have nothing to offer in terms of genuine, great words, great thoughts. It's just take, rob, and that's what we're seeing in the United States today. The fact that most people cannot do this is what makes it so difficult to bear with them. It is weakness rather than wickedness that perverts people and drags us down. And it needs profound sympathy to put up with that. But all the time, God still reigns in heaven. And we need to maintain that calmness. In the Bible, is there ever a time where Jesus seems to be rattled or kind of coming unglued? No, he's standing up to the religious and secular powers of the time. We're all corrupt. And Jesus is basically trying to ruin their game. And they're just not going to have it. And they found a way to undermine him and to take him out and make sure that nobody listened to him again. And it resulted in the entire religious system at the time in Israel being undermined later in about 30, 40 years. Rome had had enough, and Rome was only going to take so much too because it was a secular humanistic empire, and it was just not going to tolerate anything that was going on in Israel, and it just went in and basically leveled it. Jesus said it would. Jesus made that prophecy while they were walking around the temple, and 30 years later, 40 years later, basically it happened. We need to maintain that calm. And I know I get spun up, but it's not rattled. I'm not intimidated by any of this. And most of the time, it's looking somebody in the eye and saying, you know what? This is the way it is. You may not like it. You may not like the form of worship. You may need to have that happy clappy stuff that is so popular. It does you no good. It's just spiritual cotton candy. It burns off. It's just pretty much nonsense. It's just dancing around saying, oh, look at me, God. I'm so good. And let Jesus bless me. And, the Joel Osteen idea of God's here to save you and make you pretty and wealthy and talented. And it's just utter nonsense. We are here to serve the Lord, and he is making us into people who are worthy of the kingdom. And if we're not worthy of the kingdom and we think it's been all about dancing around and me, us, it's not going to work. I'm Jim Driscoll, the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church. We're at 1302 East Washington Street. That's in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org. Questions or comments? Contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to revjamesdriscollmdiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30, and all are welcome. We at the NCTV45 thought for the day. God bless your day.